Hi, I'm Tyson Franklin, and welcome to this week's episode of the Podiatry Legends Podcast, the podcast designed to help you feel, see, and think differently about the podiatry profession. With me today is Jonathan Shearer from Tamworth in the UK, not Tamworth in Australia, and he is the owner of Footsteps Treatment Clinic. Welcome to Podiatry Legends Podcast, Jonathan. How are you doing?
Yeah, g'day, mate. Really good, thank you.
It sounds really funny having another Jonathan on the show that's not Jonathan Small.
Yeah, I know. Makes a change.
Well, today we're going to be talking about networking and how networking has helped you grow your business, which I think is a fantastic topic. And you were the one that suggested this topic, so I thought it was great. I love it when people come to me with ideas and I don't have to always think of them. But before we get into that, I need to ask, what got you into podiatry in the first place? It always interests me.
Well, I had an ingrown toenail when I was 16.
Okay.
And playing football and things. It was quite a painful process, having something painful. And what got me interested initially was that when I had a little operation, it's actually a doctor that did it, not a podiatrist. But what I realised was there wasn't anything difficult about them doing it. I thought, well, I could do that. I could do that procedure. And I was interested in biology and things like that. And I decided to do podiatry. And I primarily went to do podiatry because I like to make people better. So I thought, I like the fact you've got autonomy. You can make a decision with the patient to make people better. That's what I liked. And the other thing I liked a lot about it as well was the fact that with podiatry, I looked at physiotherapy as well, but with podiatry, a lot of people can make better straight away. With some of the other professions that I looked at, allied to medicine, you could be rehabbing someone and they may not get better at all. But with most things in podiatry, people feel better when they leave your room. That's the thing that drew me to it. And the fact you can have autonomy as well. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I have to agree with you. I look at podiatry and look at physiotherapy. And I've had a number of guests over the years who have said, oh, I did podiatry because I didn't get into physiotherapy. And majority of them, when I say to them, so if you have your time over again, would you change? And they go, no, they're so glad. So to me, sometimes it's just meant to be that way. How you end up in a profession, especially a podiatry profession, and you stay. So in your notes, I saw that you graduated from Southampton in 1999. Then you went and worked in the NHS for a little while. You didn't want to stay there and become numb?
No, I did 7 years there. If I went back again, I'd have probably left after 2 years, 2.5 years. But I did enjoy my time. It exposed you to a lot of different problems and things. And also you get used to working at a certain speed and level. But I realised if I'd have stayed in there, I'd have suffered with burnout, I think. And I'd have probably gone into a different profession because I fell out of love with it because you can get stuck in a rut sometimes in the NHS jobs. Yeah. And what I found very quickly, the way it's almost set up, you'd have specialists in areas where my viewpoint is, well, why can't I be a specialist in that area? Why can't you train me up or other people up? Or why don't we share that specialism out so we can have a really good health service? Wouldn't it be logical to train people in 4 or 5 different skills rather than just have, I'm a diabetes specialist or I'm an MSK specialist? Because I think it's good to share that knowledge and experience with even junior members of staff so they can actually help the NHS as they grow.
Yeah, one of the positives I have heard of the NHS was when you first graduate, it does expose you to a lot of different areas of podiatry. And sometimes I always say, especially new graduates, you don't know what you don't know. You might think you don't like something until you actually start doing more of it. And also you might realize you love it. And then might be other things you think, this is what I always wanted to do. And once you start doing it, like I always wanted to work with elite athletes until I worked with elite athletes. And I found that I didn't enjoy working with them as much as what I thought. And they just took life too serious. So I preferred your weekend warriors.
Yeah. I think amateur and local sport has got it's so much more fun to be involved with those type of athletes. Definitely makes a big difference. I think, yeah.
So what was the turning point that made you say, I'm going to leave the NHS, and then go into private practice? Did you work with somebody else first in private practice, or you just went bang straight into your own?
Well, I fell in it by accident, and I started doing a little bit of private work myself. I did a little advert in a magazine called the Yellow Pages. It used to be a directory that came through people's letterboxes. Yeah. And someone phoned me up and said, do you want to put an advert in? And I said, yeah, that'd be great. I'll put an advert in, £175. The amount of calls I got off that £175 was incredible. And I started doing these home visits and on top of my NHS job. And that was kind of, a lot of people seem to do that in the back, as well as working NHS full time, they're working part-time doing home visits. So I started doing that, and then a nursing home got in touch with me, and I started doing a nursing home, and then I picked up a load more nursing homes. But the key turning point for me was we came across this derelict building in our hometown, and I'd already came up with the name. If I ever have a clinic, I want it to be called Footsteps. And I always had a vision and imagined being in my hometown in this medical road, because there's a road in Tamworth called Albert Road where all the medical practices and solicitors tend to be, all the professionals are on this road. It's a bit like the Harley Street of Tamworth.
Yeah.
And I'd always had a vision of being there. And this property came up for sale, and I was just recently married with my wife, and we decided to have a look at it. And before we could think about it, we put an offer in for the property, and it sat empty for 3 years. We decided to renovate it. And during that period, I left the NHS and I actually worked for Dr. Scholl, the shoe shop.
Okay.
I had shoe shops across the UK at the time. And so I did about 6 months for Scholl while I was setting this clinic up. And I was doing home visits as well.
Yeah.
But I always say to people, if you want to have a clinic, do the clinic, don't do the home visits, because it is real backbreaking. It's very hard to do both things. And I think that the turning point for me was I bought some equipment. The NHS was selling off equipment in the trust, and I bought some, and it was in my garage. And I remember the home visits had built up, and I was involved a lot in the NHS. And I just suddenly thought, I looked at the chair and I thought, I either need to do something and go either private all in, or I need to put my all into the NHS and have a really good career with the NHS and look for opportunities in the NHS and take it more seriously and try and progress. And I decided to go the private route, which is a good route to go. And it was almost like night and day, chalk and cheese when I went fully private. It's just incredible, the difference and how I felt. I felt really good every morning. And, getting up, I was looking forward to going to work. And I felt an excitement again in my profession, but that I wanted to be there. But I wasn't necessarily unhappy in the NHS, but I think it comes to the end of the road. And I actually had to go back for a month because they overpaid me for a month's wages. And I went back several months after leaving, and I did it over a period of about 8 weeks, this kind of month. And I'd have paid treble that not to go back there, because I just realised how oppressed I was in the NHS and how restrictive it is. And I felt like I got my enthusiasm back and my initiative and everything back being in the private sector. And I came to life again.
I suppose the NHS, like I worked for about 6 months, the hospital system, just for a very short period of time. And I must admit, working within the hospital system, I was just like going from private practice into the hospital system. I can see how some people stay in those systems because there's so many places you can hide and pretend you're doing work and be moving paperwork around and not actually be doing anything. Yeah. And there were some people that I'd watch at the hospital weren't podiatrists, but like some of the other allied health, the physios and the occupational therapists, and they were just experts at wasting time, calling meetings, just shuffling paper around, looking really busy, but not really being overly productive.
Yeah.
And they were experts at it and they loved it.
Yeah.
And those sort of people I don't think I think once you're in that system for too long, I can understand how it gets ingrained to you to be hard to leave.
Yeah. And it's really hard. I think people get institutionalized, I would say. I always use the word institutionalized. And if anyone comes from the background of the NHS into a private clinic, I always say you've got to break the NHS out of them. It takes 10 times longer to break it out of them than if you had a newly qualified that's come from, or someone who's come from a private clinic, to fit into your culture in the way and just get them to change the way they think. Privately, very different. And I think one of the things for me with the whole NHS, people stay in it because of, say, the pension and also because it's the security. It makes sense. But one of the things, I think the jobs are a lot less secure now in the NHS. And there's less jobs in certain trusts. It's less secure than it's ever been, I think, for NHS jobs. Yeah,
it's funny because I had someone I employed who worked in community health for a certain number of years, and this was their first private practice job. And after employing them, I said I'd never do that again. I would never employ anyone that had been in a community health sort of setup for 15 years. You said you've got to, what did you say? You got to break it out of them. You almost have to beat it out of them. And some people you can't do it with because it's so ingrained on that's the way that they work, which is completely different to private practice.
Yeah, absolutely. completely different, and it's changing because they've worked in a culture that's makes them very institutionalized. You can't. I take for every year they've been in it, it will take you two to get it out of them.
However, you got to say though, there's certain people. One, the NHS and community health and hospitals, they need podiatrists. So we're not saying no one take those jobs.
No.
And there's also going to be podiatrists that they are 100% suited to that. That's just, it's probably no different to a podiatrist who becomes a full-time educator at one of the universities. There's only certain people that can do that and do that really well. And then there's other people who, even if they were super smart and could do it, probably couldn't do it because of just the hierarchy of how universities work.
Yeah.
And so we need people to have these different personalities.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Different horses for different courses.
So you've gone into private practice and everything just went along really well, took off, boomed, no headaches?
Yeah. Yeah, we had to work at it a lot. I think one of the lines I was told, there's two things I was told when I was setting up. One is, and there'd been another podiatrist in the town for, I don't know how many years, I think for 25 years, and you're not going to get anywhere. Everyone's tried to set up and they can't get anywhere. He's had the monopoly on the market. And I'm like, really? I might. And no, don't do it. Don't do it. Well, I'll have a go. When people say don't do something, I'm like, why? Why? Who's saying this? And then the second line that I was told when I started was, so for every day of clinical practice that you do and have full, will take you a year to get. We were full of a full-time post within 1 year. We had 2 rooms going after 2 and 3 rooms going after 3 years. But we spent quite a bit of marketing initially, and we used different ways and methods and approaches to grow the clinic.
Yeah, and I take it when you set your clinic up, you weren't just a carbon copy of what the person down the road was doing. You became your own unique clinic, and therefore you give people a choice. Because I always say there's different types of patients. There's ones who know what a podiatrist is, and therefore probably know the guys down the road, and maybe that's where they're always going to go. And there's going to be a whole pile of people that do not even know what podiatry is. And because they don't know what it is, if you then start marketing yourself, they go, oh, I didn't know about that. So therefore, they're going to end up coming to see you. And it works. It's good for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. I learned a lot about the marketing side within the first year. It's incredible, a very steep learning curve. And the internet was only really in its infancy when we started. So not many podiatrists had a website in 2006 or 5 in UK. Not many podiatrists. If you looked on the web, there wasn't many with a website. So we were very early adapters to that. We got a website, and I think when we started as well, the NHS were discharging patients. They started that process of discharging. So that's why a lot of clinics in 2006, 7, 8, 9, 10 grew very fast and rapidly, because the NHS is getting rid of everyone. So where are those people going to go? They're going to go into a private sector, or they're not going to be able to meet their needs. So I think a lot of clinics grew in that time. But it's an adventure when you start running a practice, definitely.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of good points there too about making sure you're doing marketing. When on Facebook, I have a group there called the Podiatry Business Owners Club, open to anybody. You don't have to have a business, just need to be a podiatrist. And I always ask people, what's one of your biggest frustrations about your business or podiatry? And one of the biggest frustrations people mention is, I wish the community knew more about what we do. And I'm like, well, then get out there and tell them. If your community doesn't know what you do, you can't blame the association. Oh, why aren't you marketing us better? It's not their job.
No,
it's up to you to get out there and market podiatry. And then other people say, oh, but if I go out there and market podiatry, I'm going to be helping all my competitors. Yes, that's exactly what will happen, but will also help you. And I always say in my marketing workshops, I always say the same thing. Whoever tells the story first owns that space.
Yes, that's a good one. I like that.
Yeah, if you get out there and tell that story first, tell that marketing advice, give that tip, you'll be the person that is known for that particular space. And I always say it's the same thing. Who remembers who came second at the Olympic Games in the 100 meters? No one ever knows. You think of when Usain Bolt won 3 times in a row, who came second those 3 times? And to me, marketing and sharing that message is exactly the same thing.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. And there's so many different approaches and methods you can try. We did a lot of paper advertising when we first started. We did some
Yeah.
paper advertising
And
and
it
local
worked.
trade magazines. Yeah, local trade magazines. We did some vouchers, so we knew that whether those adverts would work or not. And we always asked people, "How did you hear about us?" And with the computer software that was just starting to take off, before the online ones came along,
Mm.
we had a localized system, and we'd always ask people, "How had you heard of us?" And that directed what future money we spent on the marketing, because we'd find out how people heard of us, and you could see the return on investment. That was one method. But it's amazing how important signage is as well, I think. And also, I went out and did talks for ladies groups very early on.
Yeah.
We do still do a lot of that kind of networking. We go to a lot of sports clubs and things these days. But we did a lot of groups and things like that, and social groups that people allowed us to come and do talks. And that helped to great and raise the awareness. We went to a lot of open days. A lot of the council invited us to an open day. We always try and make ourselves available, and you can assess how effective it is afterwards. We did 3 or 4. We did one of the big supermarkets invited us in for their health and wellbeing day, and you get to know different people. One of the local councils, I got to know the HR officer very well, and they had a health scheme, and they'd literally give our leaflet out to every person who was employed by the council, which was 400 people at the time, which was round the corner from us. And they invited us to the open day, which was really good. But yeah, but I found putting yourself out as well. And one of the key things I did to start off with, I went to all the local businesses and all the local shops and offices, and I went and introduced myself and gave our leaflet out to them.
Yeah.
And we had a big launch. We had a launch leaflet where we invited people to the open day, and we put it in the paper. We had about 50 people turned up, and we had the mayor and the MP came and cut the ribbon for me, which was really good. And they were there on the open day.
But that's the thing. What you're saying there is you got off your bum and you went out there and created you created the work. You went out there and you got people to know who you were by keeping busy and being seen and being heard by the community. And then you have to wonder, then the community knows who you are.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. It makes a difference and raises the profile. And you're not competing for the same people as that other guy because he's already got his clinic. So we're building a new clinic for new people and new opportunities.
I remember when I moved into Cairns, I remember I looked at where all the doctors were in Cairns. And I made a big list of them all, and it was a way of doing all this. But over a period of time, I went and saw every single doctor in Cairns. It took about 6 months.
Wow.
It was surprising how many of them, when I actually went and met them, said, "Oh, we've never met a podiatrist before." Yeah, they'd received letters from another podiatry clinic or maybe an email, but they had never face-to-face, someone got off their bum to actually try and make a time. And I'd even say to the receptionist, "Look, I know you're super busy. I don't care if we make this time 4 months out. I just want to get a time in their diary so I can come and see them." And they're like, "Oh, okay." And once again, just by going out there and doing it, it just generates this momentum and it just helps build your business.
Yeah, 100%. If the doctor directs a patient to you, it makes such a difference, or a nurse or anyone like that makes a difference. Anyone who's from a health centre, we always work extra hard, or I try and connect with as much as I can. The receptionists especially are good if they come into your clinic, because if they have someone with a foot ailment that can't get NHS, they know they can recommend us.
Did you ever go into like networking lunches, Chamber of Commerce?
I did some of them. I did some of the breakfast meetings. I've tried different things over time. We did a business exhibition as well, a local one. But everything we did, we had something that came back. It wasn't all perfect, but we always had something that came back from it. And one of the interesting ones, I would also find out about other people's businesses and how they worked. And there's things you could think about doing, or actually there's people there that can help you. Everyone's trying to promote their own services, but it's a good way to understand business is going to a networking meeting, because you can see what's out there. How do you know what's out there? Reading a book? No, get out there, make it happen. You can have a look at things. And I think the breakfasts are good because it's very informal, and you can always pick up. Hopefully you meet some of the people again the next time you go, and it gives you a base. And also people can refer to you when they hear about people who've got those problems. So
one of the best networking lunches I went to was the Cairns Businesswomen's Group, because at the Cairns Businesswomen's Group there's usually about 200, 250 women. They're not expecting a guy to turn up. No, you're allowed. So my wife was going, so I'm coming with you. So all of a sudden, then a couple of other guys had come along, and it really made our business stand out because it just was unexpected. But it was the same thing. I used to go to the Chamber of Commerce, and some of the people that I met when I first came to Cairns and the first networking lunches I went to were my patients for over 20 years.
Wow. That's really good.
And there was one particular guy that I remember I saw him in the last week just before I sold my practice. And we were laughing about how I met him pretty much the first week I came to Cairns at a networking event, and he'd been my patient through the whole journey. And yeah, it was great. And he referred so many people to me over the decades.
Wow. Wow. It's incredible, isn't it? Just small seeds and small acorns and growing oak trees. Really good.
And I
Really
think it
good.
depends too. Like you said, are you in podiatry just as you're coming in hard and fast and you want to get out, or are you wanting to build a clinic long term? And I've seen, and you would have as well, on social media, hey, download this booklet here and it'll give you 10 ways that you can get 25 or 50 new patients coming into your practice next week. That's not how it works. If
No.
they've got an idea that can do that in 1 week, how many people are you annoying in the process of doing that? It might
Yeah.
be a really quick way of doing something, but it's not a long-term strategy of building your practice.
No. And they're terrible. Yeah, it beggars belief. We're in the relationship game, and I think relationships take hard work, and we have been intentional about some of the people we've tried to build relationships with. So we've been building a relationship with a local running shop and an osteopath locally, and it doesn't just happen when I go on one date with them or meet with them once.
Yeah.
I call it multiple touches, where you touch base with them. And I've gone in multiple times. I've tried to take every member of my team into the running shop, and we refer lots of patients. They've referred people to us, but it takes time. And those relationships can go stale if we don't keep touching base.
Yeah.
Someone else will come in and then they think, oh, John's not referring anyone to us. So we're trying to build those type of relationships. And that actually, I find by trying to help people first makes a big difference as well. Because a lot of people think everything's about money. But if we can actually help people, I think people are more actually likely to help us. That's always my motto as well, to help others first. And then I find that people are more willing to help you, but also asking for help sometimes makes a big difference. But yeah, I think the touching base, where people think things are quick, try and build it quick. I think things end quick as well. Those type of clients you're going to attract. It's like the Groupon thing when people did Groupon. Those type of clients you're attracting with Groupon, and those, I don't want to be done for slander for Groupon, but basically the people that you're going to attract into your salon or wherever it was, a podiatry clinic or a restaurant, is you're going to get this for 25% of the normal price. Well, what clients are you attracting, and are you going to retain them? Because most of those clients will be gone in 3 months till the next offer comes in.
Yeah.
But what's going to make the difference is a transformational relationship. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah, relationships are important. I've even said if you go to a doctor, a physio, running clinic, visiting someone one time 5 years ago is not forming a relationship. And even though you might be sending the occasional email or newsletter to them sporadically, it's still not building a relationship. It's actually getting to know them a little bit better. I think if you can get to know them on that personal level, I know when I used to go and visit a doctor, when I sat there in the room with them, I would be scanning all around the room trying to find something that was something of interest. So if I saw like a boating magazine on their desk, I'd go, hey, you into boating? Okay. And all of a sudden you see their eyes light up and you go, got them. I just know I've got them. Because then I'd start talking about the boat. What sort of boat you got? They tell me, how often do you take? Oh, I don't take it out enough. You should take it out more. And they go, oh, do you go fishing? Yeah, I go fishing. And all of a sudden, the whole 15 minutes you were with them, 14 of it was talking about their boat and how much they enjoy taking it and what they do with it. And then you leave, then it might be a couple of months later, you see a boating magazine at a newsagent, you put it in the mail and you post it to them, go, I was just walking past, I saw this, thought of you straight away, bang. That's how you create relationships. And some people might go, oh, that's being sneaky. Okay. It's not being sneaky. It's actually being genuine, and you want to know more about that person.
You've connected with that person on a level that's more than just a transactional relationship. Because if it's just about the money, people will change relationships. But if it's about you're making a connection, that makes all the difference. And that keeps relationships together, connections, and having something in common. It makes a big difference. But I think it's good that you related to them. Really good.
And that's why it's just important. If you happen to be in the room with anybody, is scan, look around, look in the reception area, pay attention to what's going on around them, because there will be signs there to tell you a little bit more about them, especially if it's their practice. I'll guarantee if I walked in your clinic and had to walk around, there'd be certain things that you would have that straight away I would learn a little bit about you. If you walk to my office now, okay, if you're watching the video here, you'll see the background there's a Captain America cup sitting on my printer. There's also a rooster in the background there, which is the team that I follow. And if the shirt that I happen to be wearing at the moment is the Roosters. But also in my office here, I have this Captain America. Now, a friend of mine sent me this because he knew I like Captain America. That cup was from a friend who knows I like Captain America. So there's certain things like that you can scan around people's room, learn things about them really quickly.
Yeah. The guitar behind you.
Yeah. So there's a guitar there. So straight away, I used to have that in my consultation room. And it was surprising how many patients come and go, oh, do you play the guitar? I go, yeah. I go, oh, do you play? They go, yeah. I go, well, bring it in next time you come in. So when they bring the guitar in, and then for the last 5 minutes of the consultation, we would see if we could teach each other something.
Yeah.
Just connecting with your patients just on a different way. I used to have Captain America things in my consultation room as well.
Yeah. Wow.
So, and I guarantee you've got something in your clinic. There'll be something about you that you have in your clinic. What is it?
Got football shirts.
Yeah, see, there you go. So I bet they know which team you would support. Sparks conversations.
Yeah. I used to have pictures of the Caribbean because I used to like to go on holiday in the Caribbean. Well, I still like to go on holiday, but I had some really nice Caribbean pictures, and I've got a nice picture of the sea and everything in my front room. So it's quite good.
And there'll be a lot of doctors or physios, especially doctors, GPs, people that are really busy will normally have sometimes a holiday snap or something is on their desk, because it must be to remind them of a happy time, happier than seeing 50 people in a day.
Yeah.
If you talk about that photo, once again, you connect with them.
100% makes such a difference. Definitely.
So what else did you do with your clinic to keep growing it?
Well, we do a number of things. One of the big things that I used to do, I haven't done so much recently, but we're going to go back to it. We're going to do a lot more internal marketing where we market to our existing clients. Like we used to do the newsletter. We used to post it out regularly, a newsletter, high quality printed newsletter that went out to tell people what we've been doing over the last 6 months or a year, and people we've interacted with. We've always been very careful if we've been at other events. One of the things, we had a famous footballer that came in clinic, and he kind of let us have a photo with him. We said, can we put this in our newsletter? He said, yeah. And we had someone from the Olympics we put in as well. So some fun stuff as well, and things we've helped with, or if we've done a charitable thing as well, because people like to know more about you. And we also put in things like little offers on things that don't affect you that much with your bottom line. So if we're trying to promote a service that we've not been around for that long, we're promoting a new service where they can get a bit of a discount, or if there's a cream that's just come out and we want to promote it, we might have a little voucher in. So we were very good at doing that in the early stages. We did advertorials a lot at the talks. So how am I growing it more, and how am I growing it at the moment? We've got a sports therapy side as well. So we've been going to every sports club locally. But one of the things that we do as well, we sponsor a lot of the teams. So we don't just go, and we go out to their training sessions. I always have a saying, it's you've got to go where the buffalo are. It's no good staying in the four walls of your clinic or the castle of your clinic. Get out there, make it happen. And it's often when it's not always convenient. So you've basically quite a lot of them in the evenings, and I'll take a couple of the team with me. And we've done that quite a number of times. It's been very successful. But again, it's building up a relationship and rapport. And sometimes we do a special discount for that sports team. So they feel it's a little bit of a discount. So they feel actually they're getting something that's bespoke for them. But also we work really hard to build the relationships with key people in there. And we often put the kind of couches and stuff. We've got these portable couches we take with us, put them to the side of the pitch, and people can come over and talk to us about their foot problems, or they can talk to us about their sports injuries. And sometimes we'll do little treatments. We won't do a full podiatry treatment, but we might address some of the issues, or talk to people about how they can fix it, or diagnose it. It doesn't cost anything to do that, just our time. and effort and energy. And I think it breaks down the mystique and the barriers between you and them. And people, oh, you're in the town centre, are you? And it reminds people that you're there. If you've seen these people before, it reminds them that you're there. And we often do a warm-up for them. Any of the teams will do warm-ups.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things we've been doing recently. We've been going back to the local businesses and reminding them that we're there. We're trying to link with some of the local foot health practitioners as well, locally, so that they know we're there and we can treat things that they can't. So just from those little gentle reminders. And also just talking to other clinics, because there's other clinics in the area where you can collaborate with, and they may treat things that you don't treat, and you may treat things that they don't treat. So you could cross-refer a little bit without, it's not competition. Let's all work together and collaborate. That's the way I am, is let's collaborate together. And I think my generation and above are more likely to do that, because and not see people as the enemy. Actually, they're just a fellow clinician, and you can cross-refer and both benefit from it, because you're providing your client with an outcome. And that's what we're in the outcome business. We want positive outcomes for our clients. And that's one of the things I find helps to grow the clinics, is by providing a positive outcome for our clients.
So how old are you now, Jonathan? Just out of curiosity.
I'm 52.
I don't know if it's just a generational thing. I was brought up just life was all about communication and networking and meeting people and building relationships. That was just how I was growing up. That's why I have on my wall. The next connection could be the one that changes your life. I don't know if younger people coming through, because everything is so much social media focused. And I'm not disagreeing that doing some great stuff on Instagram works, or doing some good stuff on Facebook work. It does work. But I think long term, those relationships is what keeps your business together when you're not having to be on social media all the time. Like, you sent me a link to a testimonial that you had a football player doing. I must admit, one of the best videos I've seen of a testimonial. Just the way it was shot, just the lighting, everything about it was fantastic. Now, I have to ask you, did you set it up so it looked that professional, or is it just natural skill that you have, or was it fluke?
We had a company come do multiple videos for us, and so that's one of the things. So it wasn't me doing on my iPhone. I wish it was, but it's something we want to do more videos, testimonials and things. It was good. And it was funny. The player Mark, who's on the video, did a testimonial. Can I just tell you the quick story about Mark?
Yeah, go for it.
So basically, he was his father-in-law at the time was our window cleaner, and he said, "Oh, Mark's injured at the moment. He can't play for Aston Villa. He's injured at the moment." And I said, "Oh, I'm sorry to hear that." And I think he mentioned it to me twice about his foot and breaking his metatarsal, which he tells you in the video. And I said, "Look, if Mark has any problems or anything, just get him to give me a call or come in. I'll see him. Don't worry about charging. I'm happy just to get him in. I'm not worried about charging Mark. And I don't want anything in return. Just if he wants to come in, that's fine." And I supported Aston Villa at the time. So he came in and he'd had 3 months, I think, treatment where he couldn't run or anything. And he's fractured his metatarsal twice, and there's swelling everywhere. And I basically did a lot of padding and things around the area, which allowed it to recover and allowed his foot function just to carry on. And it made such a difference. And within 3 weeks, he was running again. And he hadn't been running for 3 months. He was struggling to put his foot to the ground. And off the back of that, to cut a long story short, off the back of that, they basically asked me if I wanted a football kit or anything. And I said, no, don't worry. And do you want any money? No, I don't want any money. And asked later, I said, would you mind coming back and cutting some ribbon for me at the clinic? And he said, yeah, I'll do that for you. So he was on some of our leaflets years ago. But the interesting thing was, I actually asked one of my friends I'd lost touch with him, and I asked him, he'd gone and won the Premier League with Leicester City a few years ago. There's the famous worldwide story, Leicester City won the league, and he was part of that. And I just asked one of my friends, I said, would you ask Mark if he wouldn't mind doing a testimonial? And he came for nearly 4 hours to my clinic. And it's incredible. And just if I'd have charged him and it'd been a transactional relationship, maybe he wouldn't have ever come back. But I was never about the money. It was incredible that he did that out of the goodness of his heart, and it's made a big difference to us. And it helps raise the profile as well.
It's one of those things you can't do that for everybody. You can't just do free treatment for every person that walks through the door. But there's certain
No.
people where, okay, they didn't come to you asking for help. You offered your help. And I sometimes think when you reach out to somebody else, say, hey, I can help you. You don't have to charge them. You can be doing it out of the goodness of your heart. But like you said, once again, you built that relationship, and then long term, he's helped do this video, which I will point out again is fantastic video. And I will put a link in the show notes so people can go to podiatrylegends.com, go to this episode, and go and have a look at the video. But yeah, I thought when I watched the video, I went, well, if you just put this together yourself, you're pretty good at doing it. It's just the lighting. The lighting was great. The angles were great. The sound was good. So yeah, so you did 7 videos.
I think it's 7 or 8 videos we had made, and we had some treatment videos, and also we had a general video, and we've even done a recruitment video in case any of our team leave. We've got our video ready to go, recruitment video ready, and we've also done some patient testimonials, and they were really good, the company, when they came in to do it for us. Yeah, absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, and that's all about too, reinvesting back into your clinic. When you're making money, is putting the money back into your clinic to keep making things better. Like you may have been doing videos beforehand that may not have been as good. Well, when you can, you reinvest and you make the videos better. I always say, if people go to my YouTube channel and they scroll back to some of the videos I did 3 or 4 years ago, I look at them now and I go, why am I? Oh, actually going back longer because I had hair in some of them. And and I just look at the videos, and the sound was always okay, but the lighting is terrible. The shadows, the angle of the camera's wrong. But the only way you get better is by doing this sort of thing.
Yeah, it makes such a difference. Absolutely makes such a difference. And it's practice makes perfect. And you've got to start. You've got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
You've got to start somewhere, and where you start is basically isn't necessarily where you finish. But you've got to keep refining, working on yourself, and working on the way you're presenting yourself. Always look to make yourself better. Always look to make your clinic better. And because I find a lot of people get stuck in a rut, but if you don't change things, eventually it starts to slide down the other way. You actually start to lose your clinic. You plateau, and I think it's good that all of us kind of review what we do and make it better. Definitely.
Anytime I used to visit any town, I would always, if there was a podiatrist in that area, I would just go and turn up, introduce myself, and see if I could have a look around. And I was always looking for new ideas or something that you could always see something. Every clinic, even a clinic that wasn't run very well, you could find something, oh, I like that. And you could implement that idea. So, Jonathan, before we wrap up, is there anything else you want to say before we finish?
Anything else to say? Yeah, don't give up.
Yep.
Always keep going, no matter what. It's never too late to start your practice or grow it or work within a practice. You don't always have to. You can network and you can make a difference even in someone else's practice. Don't just leave it to the practice owner. Try and work and collaborate with them. I think that's the way forward as a team. Don't just. And if you're a practice owner, try and utilize the people in your team to help network and help grow your practice. Don't just see them as an employee or things like that. I think if you can get people working with you, it makes a difference. And look for the opportunities. There are opportunities all around us. And I think it's finding the right ones, but don't be frightened to knock doors as well. And even if the doors are knocked, ring the doorbell is what I'd say as well.
No, that makes perfect sense. I usually say to some of my coaching clients that every person in your team has a superpower. You just need to find it. And that's why I always say the difference between frustrated superheroes and happy superheroes. You know how some of them are like Captain America, for example, is a happy superhero. Everyone knows who he is. He doesn't try and hide who he is. Whereas you get like Batman, always frustrated, really shitty because he's Bruce Wayne. And when he's Bruce Wayne, he's just Bruce Wayne, the billionaire. And he gets really frustrated. He can't just be Batman. So I think you'll have certain staff members where they are like Batman. They've got certain skills. You just need to find out what it is so they become Captain America and actually be a happy superhero in your clinic.
And have an adventurous team ensemble. So you can be Doctor Doom. Yeah.
Yeah, because you'll have some people. I'm sure there's some people in everybody's clinic who are awesome on social media, who might be actually fantastic at doing videos. It might be something they've been doing for years, but you've never asked them to do it.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, got to just find out. Can I just tell you one interesting fact?
Yeah.
Of that. So here's a question for you. Why did Star Wars at the time become the most successful successful science fiction film, or one of the most successful films of all time. Do you know why?
Oh, I have no idea why Star Wars was as successful as it was, because tell you, those guys in the white costumes couldn't hit the side of a barn with their lasers. Hopeless shots.
No, it wasn't that at all.
Okay.
It's good. So basically, one of the things, and there wasn't the internet in those days, not an internet that we could use anyway, and there wasn't film footage they could show, but they sent basically Mark Hamill and Alec Guinness at the time ran to all these science fiction exhibitions, because at the time science fiction films were not popular. They weren't popular at all.
Yeah.
Star Trek had stopped. There was all the kind of there was these kind of cool kind of science fiction exhibitions and conferences and stuff in America, and the kind of nerdy type kind of guys probably went to them, and they had Mark Hamill and Alec Guinness would exhibit there and talk about the film, and basically no film footage to show. And basically, off the back of that, they already had a cult following. So when it was released, the cult following went to see the film. So it helped build the momentum. And the reason they became so successful, I've read the book about George Lucas's Empire. It's called Empire Building. It's worth reading. It's a fantastic business book called Empire Building. And basically, it's one of the best books I've ever read. And it talks about how they went round to promote the film and what a difference it made. And that's why, one of the major reasons why they went out there and they did something about it.
So once again, it's getting off your bum and make things happen. Don't wait for things to happen.
Yeah. Don't just stay treating patients. You've got to go and do stuff.
Yeah, and I always say that if you're sitting in your clinic, you've got a gap in between patients when you're first starting out, you probably shouldn't be in your clinic. You should be out there. Even if it's just talking to the guy down at the hamburger shop across the road, or the hairdresser, or the accountant, just get off your bum. So anyway, Jonathan, I want to thank you for coming on the Podiatry Legends podcast, sharing your wisdom and your experience. I'm sure everybody got something from this, and they're probably eager to get out of their car or wherever they're listening to the podcast to actually start taking some action.
Absolutely. That's brilliant. Thank you.
Well, I hope you enjoyed my conversation with Jonathan Shearer today. And before I wrap up this episode, I want you to pause just for a moment and think about something Jonathan kept coming back to throughout this conversation. None of what he's built happened by accident. It wasn't luck, and it wasn't trying to beat all the algorithms, and it definitely wasn't sitting inside his clinic hoping patients would magically just appear. It was relationships. Jonathan didn't grow his business by chasing quick wins or gimmicky marketing tricks. He grew it by getting out of the clinic, showing up in the community, having real conversations, and playing the long game. So whether it was visiting local businesses, connecting with sporting clubs, supporting other health professionals, or simply being helpful without expecting anything in return, which is what he did with that professional soccer player, the common theme was his intention. And this is where I see many podiatrists get stuck. They're great clinicians, they care about their patients, but they either don't know where or how to start growing their business the right way, or they've tried a few things, maybe worked with a marketing agency or even maybe a business coaching company, and they got burned and therefore pulled back and decided none of this was for them. It just wasn't meant to be. If that's you, here's the truth. You don't need to become someone you're not. You've always got to be authentic. It's as simple as that. You don't need to be dancing on social media or just doing things that you don't want to do if it feels uncomfortable. And you don't need to discount your services to grow. Remember, when you discount, the only one who loses is you. What you actually need, though, is clarity, some structure around what you're doing, and a plan that fits you, your clinic, and bottom line, the lifestyle that you actually want to live one day. Now, if you've been listening to this podcast for a while, you would already know that's exactly what I do with my coaching clients, week in, week out. And if you want to learn more about my business coaching, simply just track me down online. I'm really easy to find. Anyway, that's it for me this week. I want you to look after yourself, look after your family, and I will talk to you again next week. Bye for now.